Hey there, I'm Anna. I'm a childbirth educator, a birth doula, and a student midwife. And today I want to talk to you about a touchy subject, literally, finding your cervix. Now, why do we want to find our cervix? Isn't that just something the doctor looks at every year? Well, when it comes to our bodies, knowledge is power. If we can identify what's going on with our cervix, we can advocate for ourselves better and identify problems before they become big problems. Okay, but that's not all. If you're familiar with your cervix and the cycles that your body moves through every month, you can use that information to chart your fertility. That means that you can decide whether and if and when you get pregnant. Are you curious yet? All right, let's get started. Okay, but first let's start with a quick rundown of what the cervix is, because many of us don't actually know. The cervix is actually the lowest part of the uterus. I think of it as the gatekeeper. It looks like a shiny pink donut, but the kind where they don't skimp on the dough. The hole in the middle is closed for most of the month, and it opens up or dilates ever so slightly during ovulation and your period. It also thins out and disappears during birth to allow a baby to pass through. So even though you may never see one in real life with your eyes, here's a picture of what you're feeling for. Okay, are you ready to feel your cervix? Well, if you're going to find your cervix, you got to really get up in there. So you're going to want to use your middle finger. Take some time before you get started to just file your nails, clip them, and make them nice and tidy. Always start by washing your hands with water and soap. You got to keep it clean down there. All right, let's talk about positions. So people find their cervix in different ways, but the main theme is that you want to have your hips nice and open and you really want your body to be relaxed. So before you get started, just make sure to take a nice deep breath and relax those pelvic floor muscles. You might be doing something new here, but this is your body and it's actually a really cool thing that you're doing. So one of the best places to find your cervix is in the shower, whether or not you're actually taking one. So if you've got a shower with a bathtub like this is a nice place to just put your foot up and kind of bend this knee, and then you've got full access to your cervix. Okay, so you can actually do something similar on the toilet. If you're not taking a shower, you can just put your foot up and bend your knee. Again, take a breath, and there you have it. You can also, after cleaning your toilet, lift up the lid and just sit down. This is a really relaxing place. It's where we are used to having our pelvic floor open up. So your hand has enough room to get up in there from this position. So if you've got nice healthy knees and you're used to doing squats, this can be a good way to find your cervix as well. So you just kind of bend down, get into that squatting position, and you want to have your knees nice and wide. You want to have your heels up off the floor. And then you're going to want to be balanced with one hand supporting you. Once you've got your finger inside, you can kind of bend forward like this, and that's going to send your pelvic floor and your cervix forward. Don't stay in this position too long if it starts to hurt your knees, but it can be pretty comfy for a lot of us. Okay, so you found a position that's comfortable for you. You've taken your deep breath, and now you're going to insert your finger and just start to feel around. Let your finger go in all the way. The vaginal walls feel kind of mushy, and that's most of what you're going to feel. There's no rush. The cervix is pretty far up in there, and you might have never felt it before. So just go nice and slow, and when in doubt, just take a nice deep breath and relax even further. And when you hit the cervix, it's going to feel different. Some people say it feels like a nose, or maybe like puckered lips in front of a nose. If you're pregnant, it might feel softer, more like your chin, but you'll know it because it feels different. It's smoother. It's just got a very different texture, smoother and definitely firmer than the vaginal walls. Okay, did you find it? Congratulations. So now that you're in there, feel around a little bit more and try to find the opening. It's going to feel pretty subtle throughout most of the month, but see how open it feels. How low is your cervix in your vagina? How firm or how soft? If this is your first time feeling your cervix, you're not going to have any point of comparison. But if you make this a habit and feel throughout the course of your cycle, you'll actually notice some pretty profound changes, and they correspond with fertility. And when you take your finger out, I promise I'm not flipping you off here. But when you take it out, you might notice that there's a little bit of stickiness, like tackiness. If you kind of rub your fingers together, there's going to be some kind of cervical mucus. If you're getting closer to fertility, that's going to get a lot thicker. It's going to get stickier. Eventually, it's going to look like egg whites that can stretch pretty far. So that's how you know you're fertile. Throughout the rest of the month, it's going to be a lot drier. There will still be some mucus, but there's just not as much because your vagina isn't trying to make sperm survive in it, and it's not trying to conceive. So you can keep track of that. And if you keep track really well and also measure your body temperature in the morning, then you can feel pretty empowered to make that your fertility awareness method and potentially get off of hormonal birth control. I cannot go into all the reasons why this is awesome and why hormonal birth control is not that great. But if you're curious, I would highly recommend tuning into the Fertility Friday podcast or reading a book called The Fifth Vital Sign, or both. Both of these are by the magnificent Lisa Hendrickson-Jack. And it's a pretty reliable form of birth control if you do it right. So you don't have information enough to do it from this video, but you can continue your learning from here on out. Okay, so that's all for today. Congratulations, you are now more empowered to take charge of your body and your fertility. Thank you for taking an opportunity to learn with me, and we'll see you next time.